It's the theme park that just keeps on growing. Since opening in 2014, Energylandia in Poland has just kept adding more and more attractions and lots of new reasons why people want to go to this park. Over the past few years, they've installed some huge rides such as Zadra, a spectacular RMC coaster, Hyperion, an Intamin mega coaster, and in 2021, they'll be opening a huge new themed area with 10 new attractions. It's a theme park that many people now want to visit to, but how do you plan a trip there? What's the transportation like, and where can you stay when you arrive in Poland? I'm going to be covering all of that in this video. Welcome to the Theme Park Worldwide Travel Guide for Energylandia. I'm Sean Sandbrook and welcome to the Theme Park Worldwide Travel Guide. Now, since opening in 2014, Energylandia has just kept on expanding. The amount of investment that has been going into that park is incredible, and I don't think there's another theme park anywhere in the world that has just kept expanding as much as Energylandia have in the past few years. It all started off for them with more cloned rides and a few flat rides, and that was basically the park. A couple of years after that, they started to bring in some bigger coasters, and then over the past few years, they've really just upped their levels and put in some spectacular rides. Hyperion, an Intamin mega coaster with a custom layout, is brilliant. Zadra, again, another custom ride that has just stepped up the level once again. And then in 2021, the brand new themed area of Aqualantis with Abyssus, that new Vekoma Shockwave double launch coaster. They've just kept expanding, and especially over the past 3 or 4 years, which is brilliant. And it's made it a park that so many people want to get out there and experience. Now, Energylandia is located in Zeta in Poland, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to get there in transportation. Now, I've been lucky enough to visit Energylandia on 2 different occasions over the past few years. Both of those trips were absolutely fantastic and also via different airports. So I'm going to talk about both of those options in this video. Now, as I've mentioned previously, the park is located in the town of Zeta in Poland. And then with Zeta, you've got 2 airports really that are your best options for flying to. So the first one of those is Katowice Airport, which is about a 1 hour, 10-minute drive away from the park. You've also got Krakow Airport, which is about a 40-minute drive. So that is the closest option, but I'm going to talk about your different transport options for both of those airports in just a moment. Firstly, in terms of flights from the UK and wherever you're coming from around the world, both of these are international airports, and various different airlines operate here from the UK out there. Ryanair, British Airways, EasyJet, Wizz Air, Jet2, lots of different flights. Of course, it all depends on the price you want to go, and along with that as well, looking out for your best deals and where you are in the UK and where you're flying from. So you also want to think about all of that, but lots of different options in terms of flying into Poland. There's so many flights operating between the UK and Poland. You'll normally pick up a really good deal. Normally outside of summer, I've noticed in the summer it's a lot more expensive, like with flights for most places, to be honest. But if you can avoid them summer holidays and go at another time of the year, you can get some really cheap flights. I remember paying about £30 return, which was an absolute bargain to get out there to Poland. So it's definitely worth looking at your options. And as I mentioned previously, Skyscanner is a fantastic website to use. You put in where you want to be going, and that gives you all the different prices on there as well. So once you actually arrive at the airports in Poland, whether that's Katowice or Krakow Airport, then the transport options via public transport are actually very limited. Now, I've not actually been on the trains down to Energylandia because they're very rare. In fact, I wouldn't recommend actually using the trains over there to get you down to Energylandia. With how cheap a lot of things seem to be over there, one of your best options can actually be getting an Uber. Now, of course, Uber is an app that you can use. It's a ride-share app that is fantastic. Now, in terms of the price from a single journey for an Uber, now this was from Krakow Airport, it costs between £30 to £40 for that single journey. So if you were doing that back again, you've got to think it could cost you between £60 to £80, which isn't isn't too bad really, considering when you go on holiday and you do pay for shuttles and transfers, it will normally cost around that. So that isn't too bad, especially given on the fact that it is about a 40 to 50 minute journey from the airport, depending on the traffic. So that can be a really good option. In terms of how much an Uber would cost from Katowice Airport, I've not actually done that. When I visited for the first time to Energylandia, I used a different mode of transport. I'm going to talk about that now. So Energylandia actually run an official shuttle bus that picks up in the centre of Katowice and also as well in the centre of Krakow. So it all depends on exactly where you want to be going to and if you want to be getting the bus. Now, at the time of recording this, there's no details on the official website. They tend to post them before the season starts. So if we're back in the season now, there'll be all the details on there and how you can book the official shuttle bus. Now, the great thing about the bus, it's relatively cheap. From what I remember, that cost about £5. Of course, that's transferred from Polish zloty, but yeah, that was about £5. So that was a really cheap option. It took from Katowice, it was about just over an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes for that journey, but it was nice and simple. It picked you up at a certain time, dropped you off at the park, but you just needed to make sure that you were back on that bus at the set time, because of course there's only that one bus that would take you straight back then. So you need to make sure that you're not on a ride at that point and getting back onto the bus. So that is certainly a really good option too. And like I say, it's cheap and the park do run that officially. Now, of course, in terms of getting from the airport into the centre of either Krakow or Katowice, then the public transport options via buses and trains are great. And like I say, the website Rome to Rio is fantastic for that. I use that to plan a lot of my different journeys, what I make abroad. So that's certainly an option. Along with that, hiring a car can be a cheap option. I've not actually done that. I've either got the official shuttle bus or on my second visit, I actually, like I say, caught an Uber. But yeah, you can hire a car and that can be pretty cheap out there. I just did a little bit of a pricing up for how much that would cost for June 2021 for 3 days car hire, and that came in at £75. So that can also be a cheap option. If you're filling that car with people as well, if there's 4 or 5 of you in there, it keeps that cost low. Same with an Uber. Then you've not got the stress of having to drive or the hassle of hiring a car. You can just load up the app and like I say, for about £30, give or take, you could have that journey to the park. So if you're splitting that, even between 2 of you, it's like £15 each. So that is another great option. Like I say, I would stay away from using the trains to get down to actual Energylandia itself. From looking into it, I think the train only runs to Zeta 3 times a week. So yeah, I think that's not really an option that you want to be looking at, in my opinion. Either hiring a car, using the official shuttle bus, or of course, you could get an Uber or a rideshare app to take you down there to the park. So yeah, that's a little bit of information for you on the transportation. So, it's quite an easy part to get to. Like I say, if you're flying into either of those 2 airports, an Uber is probably your easiest and best bet, in my opinion. I know a lot of you out there may not be comfortable with hiring a car abroad. I've not actually driven in Poland. I imagine it is similar to driving in the rest of Europe, but I'm sure I will try it at some point. But yeah, I'd probably say that an Uber is your easiest option and also probably cheapest as well, especially if there's a couple of you going. So there we go. Spoke all about transportation. Once you get down to Zeta though, and of course Energylandia, where are you going to be staying? So I'm going to talk all about that in the next segment, which is accommodation. Now, as I've mentioned throughout the video, Energylandia is located in the small town of Zeta. And with Zeta, it's actually about a 20-minute walk along a footpath from Energylandia's front entrance. Now, I'm going to go through a few different options for you, starting off with their official partner accommodation, which is actually the Western Camp Resort. I absolutely loved my stay here 2 years ago. There is a full detailed vlog from this place here on the channel, so check it out if you've not already seen it. I stayed in a chuck wagon and it was absolutely brilliant. It was a heavily themed resort that is fantastic. Now, there's lots of accommodation. Say you don't fancy the chuck wagon or a teepee, which they also offer. Bear in mind, with those, you don't have your own bathroom. It is shared. However, it's not far to walk to them at all. And they were very good quality with lots of shower rooms all blocked off. And it was very nicely detailed, actually, with all the theming around the whole place. Even the shower cubicles were all nicely with themed and with decoration. So, it's not like one one of them horror stories where you're thinking, oh, you know, there's not enough showers and toilets. There's plenty for everybody to go around. It's a very modern complex that's only a few years old. So that was all designed kind of in conjunction with the park, which is brilliant. Now, if you don't fancy that though, I know there's some people out there who will not do shared bathrooms and stuff. So yeah, you can look at staying in one of their lodges, what they've actually got there, which are brilliant. And these log cabins have got rooms and of course private bathrooms and toilets in there, which are brilliant and very well themed. Now, this whole resort is fantastic. It's got a bar, it's got a fantastic restaurant with reasonably priced food. There's fire pits all around that are on every night. Along with that, there's an outdoor cinema that is included, that's just open. And the best thing about it as well, I found, was the fact that you need your key card to even walk around this place. As much as it's all outside, it's very secure. You know, bear in mind, you know, some people are just sleeping in teepees, and my chuck wagon had a zip on. You know, it wasn't like a sturdy building. It was a zip with a padlock on. So yeah, you want to make sure you're in a nice secure environment, and you need to scan your key card just to get in. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, if you're in a teepee or in a chuck wagon, why have you got a key card? They give you one anyway as access to actually get through into the Western Camp Resort. So that's a great option. I found it pretty cheap as well. I think I paid about £100 for 2 nights, which was really good value considering it's very well themed. The Wi-Fi was great and reaches all around the complex too. And I definitely recommend that. Now, like I say, the park is located in the town of Zeta. And one of your options is to actually stay in Zeta itself. Now, I've not done this in terms of in other accommodation other than the Western Camp. However, what you could do is just book to stay in like a self-catering apartment, and there's some other small hotels as well that are great. Now, with this, it would be about a 20-minute walk to the park. The beauty of staying at the Western Camp Resort is that you can either walk, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes along a public footpath, or you can actually get for free on a little shuttle bus what will take you down there to the park. It's a land train, really good fun, and that takes you to the park to and fro, you know, and it's got set times for that. So that's a really good option too. So, you know, I'm putting it out there. For the cost of this, I would say stay at the Western Camp. It's not their official hotel yet. However, I'm really thinking the park are going to build a hotel at some point in the future. Maybe you're watching this in the future of 2021. They've got a big glamorous hotel now. I really hope so. But the Western Camp's really good fun, and it's just a really well themed and enjoyable place. So yeah, you've got there in terms of your transportation, you've got your accommodation. Now it's time to talk about theme park tickets. So I'm going to talk all about that in the next segment. Now, when it comes to theme park tickets, Energylandia is one of the cheapest and best value theme parks out there. The prices are an absolute steal. You're getting so much value for money, it's incredible. Now, with that, you're best booking your tickets officially on their website through Energylandia. And like I say, if you're actually getting the bus to the park on their official shuttle, then they do a deal with that. So that's certainly worth looking at. Also, if you're staying at the Western Camp Resort, you get a discount too. I didn't realise at first, but I was chatting with the lovely lady at the reception. Customer service and speaking English was brilliant too as well. And yeah, she was telling me all about it. You get a discount. So that's something to bear in mind as well. And I worked out on my phone, and it would have been cheaper for me to have booked them there at the Western Camp Resort instead of actually booking them online through the park. So that's something to think about as well. So yeah, you've got a few different options. Now, in terms of how much it's going to cost compared to the Great British Pound, then for a 2-day ticket, it's around £40. So £20 a day. Bear in mind, you're getting on some of the best roller coasters out there in Europe now, if not the world, with some of their more recent investments. So much there for everyone to enjoy. Thrill seekers, families. I really feel that price, you are getting some absolutely fantastic value for Energylandia. So there we go. On to the final segment then now. It's time for some final tips for your trip to Energylandia. Now, when Energylandia opened in 2014, it was a relatively small park that was pretty much all confined around one area towards the entrance of the park. Yes, the attractions had some theming, but it wasn't really themed areas. Over the past few years, that has really just gone out the window, and they're building big themed areas with brand new attractions. So that is something to bear in mind. This is now turning into quite a big park. In fact, they pretty much ran out of space on this side of the road. So what did they do? They built a subway underneath the road, and that's where the new themed area area of Aqualantis and also Zardra that opened a couple of years ago as well. That's all on the other side of the road. So this is a big park. I would definitely say 2 days to enjoy all of this. I think 3 days might be too much. 1 day is not enough. 2 days would be perfect. Loads of roller coasters, lots of water rides. There's not so much dark rides at this park. I'd like to see them go down that route in the future actually. But yeah, there's a lot there. Flat rides, so much to experience, relaxing boat rides. There's a lot for the kids, there's shows. It's got something for everyone. It's a big family park, even though it's got a lot of thrilling attractions to enjoy. So 2 days would be the perfect for this park in my opinion. Now, along with that, theme park admission is a bargain, and you also get entry to the water park. There's no turnstiles or anything. It's just you go into the park and then off to the left you can walk straight into the water park. Loads of slides, all sorts in there. Loads of different pools. There's a lazy river. It is fantastic and I definitely recommend that. It's recently had an expansion too, so that is included, especially in the summer months. That is perfect. So yeah, you do get admission to that. Possibly 3 days if you want to do the water park too, and as the park keeps expanding, the more days you're going to need. I might go back this year if we can, fingers crossed, and find that 2 days isn't enough. You might want more with the new themed area and water park expansion. So that is certainly something to think about as well. But yeah, water park admission is included. In terms of costs, like I say, the theme park tickets are relatively cheap, an absolute bargain for what you're getting. But food inside the park and merchandise is also really cheap and very good value. They do these big buckets of chicken, which was ridiculously cheap. I think it cost about £3 for like loads of stuff. I couldn't believe how cheap it was for a meal. So that's something to consider when you're going to the park. You don't need to worry too much about bringing food in. It's so cheap to just buy the food in the park. And then finally, there's actually a couple of other parks that are located nearby, and one of them is in Zeta, and believe it or not, I've never been. I couldn't draw myself away from Energylandia. It's only a small little park. It's not got loads there, but that's Zeta Land, and I'd like to do that next time I go, so stay tuned for a vlog on that one in the future. A bit of a bigger park though, and one that I absolutely enjoyed, was Legendia. Now, this is inside Katowice, which is a fantastic place to explore anyway. Like, there's some great history, some great buildings all around the area, but Katowice has got Legendia, which is absolutely fantastic. It's got Let Coaster there, which is a brilliant Vekoma coaster that I really recommend. So if you want to sort of check that out too, it's in the area and it's well worth visiting. So there we go. There are all my different tips for you, and some final tips and information about planning a trip to Energylandia in Poland. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, comment down below. I'll try my best to help. Rome to Rio, Skyscanner are websites that I use on a regular basis, so I recommend using those for planning a theme park trip and making it nice and easy. Are you planning a trip out there to Energylandia when we all can do? Let me know down below in the video comments. In terms of the next travel guide coming up here on Theme Park Worldwide, we're going to be going to Salou in Spain and Port Aventura, so stay tuned for that one. It'll be on the way next week. I'm Sean Sandbrook, thank you for watching, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next video.